So I'm going to get into four main topics today. Today's session is just going to be about an AI overview. So I want to tell you a little bit about what AI is and the two types of components that we're seeing today. We're going to talk about the two tools that we're going to start using as a pilot group. The first one is Microsoft Copilot, and that's AI for the web, and then Microsoft Copilot for Microsoft 365, which is AI for work. So think of it as AI for web, AI for work. And then we're going to talk a little bit about prompt engineering, what that means, how you use it, and how it helps to make AI work fundamentally. And then the last thing to close the day is I want to try and encourage you all to leave with one action item. And at the end of today's session, I want you to try for the next 2 weeks to replace search with Copilot. And what that means is anytime you think you need to go search for something on Google or Bing, instead use Microsoft Copilot for web. And then anytime you need to find a document or find a meeting or an old email, use Copilot for Microsoft 365 instead. So that's your action item. Use Copilot instead of search for the next week, and let's see if we can make it a habit. All right, so first let's talk about AI as an overview. So AI is a pretty broad term. Yes, I'm reading, but this will probably look better in a transcript. So artificial intelligence is what AI means, and it's not really an IT tool, but it's based in IT. The underlying components are IT infrastructure. It's a tool for all people, all employees at all companies. And it's just like before, we had the internet or mobile devices or the PC. Add AI to that list. And today we're going to talk about two AI applications. These are called Copilot. Microsoft created Copilot partnering with OpenAI. OpenAI is the creator of the large language model called ChatGPT. So Copilot uses ChatGPT as the brain, and it grounds itself with data. So in Copilot for the web, you have Bing Search as the back end. And then in Copilot for Microsoft 365, you have your work data that you store in Microsoft 365. So now you can use the Copilot chatbot to help you create new text, new tables, new bullet lists, analyze data, predict data, and understand your data so that you can be more productive in the workplace. And honestly, I think in life, I use this in regular life as well. So again, the goal here today is to just get you to think of AI first and use Copilot to help you achieve more this week. So the first way we're going to do that is use Copilot instead of search or browse, and we'll do that at the end. Or actually, you can do that now while we're talking about prompt engineering. Now, there are two ways to access Copilot. This is the version of Copilot that's used for the web. The first is personal, where you sign in using your Microsoft account. And basically, it keeps track of everything you've ever asked it. And you don't want to use that at work. You want to use that at home. So we will ignore that. Instead, let's talk about the one you would use for work. So to access Microsoft Copilot, to use it at work, make sure you open your Edge browser and sign in with your work account. Then at the top right-hand corner of the screen, you'll see the Copilot button that will pop out a little Copilot app for you to use alongside your browser window. Now you know that this is Copilot for work because it's protected. It's got the little green shield. And at the bottom, it also reminds you that your personal and company data are protected. The reason is because nothing ever gets saved. So whatever you type into this prompt box gets sent to Microsoft, returned back to you after communicating with the AI, and then dropped forever. It doesn't get saved in your browser history. It doesn't get saved at Microsoft, and it doesn't train the AI. So you can think of this as an anonymous way to search the internet using Microsoft Copilot, or to get it to give you advice or tips or help you compose things for work. So that's how you access Copilot to use at work against the web. Now you'll notice because I'm signed in to my work account that I also get my Copilot for Microsoft 365 in the same pop-out app. So I can easily switch back and forth by using the Copilot button in Edge, using it there. The other way I can access Microsoft Copilot, if I'm running Windows 11, is I can use the Copilot for Windows icon down at the bottom. When I launch that, it opens for my Windows and allows me to communicate with my Windows computer, like change my wallpaper and so forth. But I can also search the internet using chat by using Copilot because it uses Bing as the back end. Because I'm signed into my Windows machine with my work account, this is also protected. Therefore, anything I type into this prompt box will be dropped. It will not be saved anywhere, and it won't be used to train the AI at Microsoft. It's the same exact back end as if I were to use the Copilot button for the web in my browser. So those are the two ways you can get to use Copilot for the web, either in the Edge browser or using Windows Copilot. The other way is you can use the internet. Maybe you're not at home, so you go to bing.com and you sign into Bing using your work account. Once you do that, you can click on chat and you'll be taken to a chat interface that uses Microsoft Copilot with Bing as the back end. So it's the same exact thing as Windows Copilot. It's the same exact thing as Copilot in Edge, Copilot in a browser. And they all have, except for Windows, the ability to switch between work and web. So you can get Copilot for Microsoft 365 or switch to the web and use Copilot for everyday use on the internet. All right, so now some prompt engineering things I want to show you, and I'm going to go side by side here. And I understand some of you may be past this. This is kind of basic, but we've got a mixed group. And remember that if we roll this out to a company, there's going to be all employee types, including people who've never heard of AI and people who are resistant to change. So it's important that we go through this as if it's from the beginning for everybody. So it's important to understand how the AI model works. And if you remember, I said it's a brain that's been taught everything. It's got the best memory in the world. It remembers everything that's ever been published that it's been given to be trained on. All right, now let's identify the different components of a prompt. There's instructions, primary content, examples, cues, and supporting content. So I'm going to get into each of those so it makes sense. And by the end of this, you'll be a pretty good prompter. So this happened when search came out. Companies gave their employees search. They're like, here you go, here's Google. But people didn't know how to search, so they just typed keywords. And imagine if you just type keywords, then you're not going to get much out of AI. But if you give it clear instructions, so here's one right here. Write a brief product description for our new cloud-based collaboration tool. And let's see what it gives us. And then you can even refine it and say our company name is, so here, stop responding. Our company name is Benchloom, rewrite it. So I'm telling it stop, go back, change it, and do it again. And this is a machine that won't complain. Oh, I got to do it again. So you can, oh boy, that's getting crazy. So then in order to get a better output, a better completion, you can write a better prompt. So here's a more complex instruction that says, actually write a compelling email inviting potential clients to an upcoming event. And then it gives some sentiment, express gratitude and support. Now it will give us a much better output or completion that we can then copy and paste into an email. So that's the first component, is understanding the instruction and being clear to the AI what you want. If you leave it up to the AI, it's going to get creative. So that reminds me of this setting up at the top. If I can get up to the top. Usually there's a reset. Oh, here it is. New topic. So this resets your conversation and starts you over. So now notice I have a brand new set of 30 responses. What does that mean? 1 of 30 responses. So this is a good time to take a timeout and help you understand what these buttons mean. So the first is, I want to mention when you join Copilot and you're signed in with your work account, you get the protected version of Copilot. If you use a personal account, like a Microsoft or a Hotmail account, you won't be protected. So what does protected mean? You can click on it and find out, but in a nutshell, it means what you type in, your prompt, and what you get back, your completion, are not stored anywhere at Microsoft or at OpenAI. They're simply sent there to get processed and then sent back. Your browser then makes a temporary cache and then drops it. So all the data that you ever write into Copilot for work is never saved. There's no chat history. There's no remembering what you said once you hit that wipe button. Once you close the session, it doesn't remember yesterday. So keep that in mind. Work Copilot is protected in that way. It's like an anonymizer. That's the best way to put it. The second thing I want to point out is the conversation style. So you can ask it to be more creative and fun and use emojis, or you can ask it to be more precise in its answers. This is actually, whether you know it or not, helping with prompting. You're giving it an instruction to only give me useful information that's based in facts. Whereas creative, I want to kind of brainstorm and get some ideas. So make sure you use the settings based on what you're trying to do. Lastly, down here, there's some buttons. I mentioned the new topic button where you can start over. Here's the prompt window where you can ask prompts. Copilot now lets you use a microphone. So if you allow the microphone, you can ask your prompt by using your voice. That's pretty cool. And then you don't even have to type. So that's neat. And then lastly, right down here is adding an image. So if you have an image, it's talking, sorry. Stop. You can add an image by uploading from your device, or you can take a photo of something like a brand that you don't recognize or something and ask it to identify it. So it's not real good at people. It always wipes the face for privacy reasons, but you can use it for identification, which I've used a few times, like, what kind of car is that? So those are the buttons. Now let's get back to prompting. The second thing is use examples. So this is really more when you're composing. You're asking the AI to make something for you. Like here, they're saying, I want a headline, give me a topic. Or I'm going to give you a headline, you give me a topic. So I say the headline is, the coach is confident the injury won't derail the Warriors. And then the AI says, well, here's your topic. And then it gives me a topic. Now, instead, if I want it to get smarter about telling me what the topic is, I can give it more examples. So for example, I can say, here's a headline, the topic is baseball. I'm giving it the answer. Here's a headline, the topic is soccer. Here's a headline, the topic is football. Here's a headline, what's the topic? And it should just then answer basketball. Now, this is usually more useful in an application that's trying to identify and classify a document. And we're not really dealing with that with search. So let's move on. Let's talk about, oh, that's funny. Way to go, Copilot. Tries to be helpful. So pay attention to cues. When you give cues to the AI, it helps to direct the output to your desired response. So this, for example, has no cues in it. You're just saying, here's an email, summarize it. That's a simple command with no cues, right? But here, if I say, summarize, here's the email, summarize the email and a cue, give me the key takeaway of the message. It can then reason with the data, give you the summary and the key takeaway. Then let's go even further and say, here's the email, summarize it, but now give me key points in the form of bullets. So you're giving it two cues on how to respond. So use that as you continue to prompt. Give it cues if you want the answer formatted a certain way. That's very helpful if you want a bulleted list or a table generated for you. Test your arrangements. This is interesting. So you have 3 out of 30 responses. I don't think we talked about these buttons yet. So if you like the response, hit the like or dislike button and share it with Microsoft. That just helps them make it better. That's optional if you just want to be a better internet citizen and help make it better. Up to you. This is a copy button. So you can copy what comes out and paste it into something else. That's helpful. You can export it. So if you get a table generated for you, you can export it to CSV and then edit it in Word. And then you get 30 responses per session. So what's interesting about this is the AI remembers all of its 30 sessions. So you can continue to correct it, give it additional instructions until you get the end result you're looking for. So it's sort of like more of an art form to create with AI rather than a, hey, just go do it for me. And I've found that I often have to correct it, give it additional cues and examples. And then this, I just realized the order in which you cue or the order in which you prompt is called the arrangement. And just like a composer, if you saw that movie Maestro, test your arrangement out and maybe rearrange how you instruct the AI. Start over with a new topic and maybe phrase it a little differently. And then give the model an out, which means don't let it hallucinate. You know what happens when you ask a little kid a question. They don't say, I don't know. They try to make up an answer because they want to satisfy you asking the question. So the same thing with AI, it tries to make up an answer because it's trying to be helpful. So one thing you could always do is only give me an answer if you can fact check it, or give me a search query that I can use to fact check this fact, or only give me answers that you can cite in a reference. So that's your way of giving the model an out so it doesn't hallucinate and make up stuff. So I'm going to switch over to the work edition. Now, the work edition is grounded in our data. So you all have licenses for this. You should easily have access to Copilot for Microsoft 365. If you don't, reach out to me and let's figure out why you don't. But one of the easiest things you can do is summarize my day is a cool one. It goes through and reads your calendar, reads your email, and it kind of tells you what you've got going on for the day. So it says, okay, I'll look for my day. And remember, this is the same chat that we use here in Microsoft 365 and Teams. So however you want to get to it, it's cool. So here, based on the information, you've got to attend this. And then I can always click on this to see what it is and go figure out more. So I'm telling you to use this tool to search instead of go look for stuff. So what's something else you would do is what's the latest Word document I worked on? Now, obviously, that's easy to open Word and just go to recent, but I just wanted to show you here that it has access to our data. So let's see if it goes out and yeah, there we go. So it's the exact document that I've got open over here on the left. And then it shows you the reference for the document so that you can easily go open that document in either the browser or in the full thing. Tell it to find my recent PowerPoint. Or this little glitter button down here is a guide to prompting. So if you use that, you can start with a guide and say, ask, what are the open issues from, and then these are the meetings. So what are the open issues from the weekly Salesforce forecast meeting? So it goes out and it reads the transcript from that meeting and it combs through and tells me what the issues are. Hopefully, we'll see. So I would suggest you start with the prompt guide as a way to kind of learn how the system works out of the box. Also,
You
you
have
can
access to
attach.
meetings you were invited to, right, Jim?
That's right.
You
Yeah.
can't go and search meetings you weren't invited to. Yeah.
Yeah, that's an important point that I should have brought up in the beginning and continued to stress that I'm only seeing things that I have rights to see. So I'm seeing this because I was invited to that meeting, or I'm seeing references to documents because they were in my OneDrive or shared with me, or they're in a team that I belong to. But this is relevant work stuff that were open issues from the sales team. Tell me more about the upsell opportunities for FlexiBand. I mean, just sit here and play with the chat for a minute and you start to get drawn into it like YouTube. You could even attach a file. So if you hit attach and then maybe you say here, make a new, Gavin and I were trying to do this, make a new document based on the attached, but make the topic something cool like Tesla electric batteries. Let's see what it does with that. So we're still in the experimental mode where you should go in and try the prompts and see if you can get it to replace search. Hey, look at that. Based on the document, I've created a new document about Tesla electric batteries. So now you can download that or take a copy of it or have it read to you. and put it into a blank Word document. That's funny. All right, so I'm going to stop there. I want to say that this is number 1 of 6 that I want to do. And the point of today was to give you a real general overview of AI. Let's go back up to the point of today. Give you an overview of AI, tell you about the 2 tools that you have access to, give you an intro to prompt engineering, and then try to get you to replace search with Copilot. Well, I wanted to thank you for watching this first part of our series, Mastering Microsoft. We will continue with this series to add more videos covering more AI topics with tips and tricks and demonstrations. If you like what you saw, please hit the like button or share with someone. And to get notified when we post our next video, hit the subscribe button. Thanks again for watching. Cheers.